What an incredible weekend for Bernie Sanders after a very successful tour of the West Coast where over 100,000 people attended the different events that he hosted. Well, on top of it, now he's polling for the first time ahead of Hillary Clinton. Yeah, you heard right. That's exactly happening in New Hampshire. 44% for Bernie against 37% Margaret for Hillary Clinton. A big shift from the early polls that had Bernie at 7% and Hillary at 44%. Though nationally, Hillary still is way ahead. But what do you make out of this?
What do I make out of Bernie Sanders doing well in his home turf? Well, let's see. Is that really a shock? I mean, great, fantastic. It would be a shocking scenario if he weren't doing well in his home turf. What is shocking for me is the rock star this man has become on the West Coast, drawing crowds I haven't seen like this in a very long time. 28,000 in Los Angeles. I mean, this is somebody who can really generate an audience. Of course he has his home turf, but more importantly, he's capturing millennials right and left. You know, people that you would never think would come out and support this unassuming man who's not, you know, he doesn't have the best curb appeal, but what he says is really resonating, and he's gaining notoriety right and left. I know that you have a secret crush on Bernie Sanders, that you're so in love with him that you just can't believe this. You know he's gonna, I mean, in your heart of hearts, I know you're thinking he's going to steal the nomination away from Hillary Clinton. And you know what? So do I.
I mean, I think a lot, you know, we've seen hundreds of thousands of people came out to support him. Though, let's take this, like you said, let's see it carefully. This is just a very local New Hampshire poll. And again, the important part of this is that New Hampshire is one of the very first primary elections that we're going to see. The fact that he's now cementing that rise in popularity and that we see that he draws crowds, now it's important to see that the voters are saying, yes, we're with him. Now, also, he's getting attention from other candidates because for the first time he was addressed by the Trump.
No.
He had words. Trump had words for Bernie Sanders, and he he came out today before one of his rally where only 2,000 people went to see the Trump versus the 28,000, and he went and said, well, Bernie's getting the bigger crowds, I'm getting the biggest crowd, but the difference is that Bernie is weak. And he was referring to the fact that he allowed the Black Lives Matter protesters, these two women that shut down his event up north in the West Coast. He said that it's a weak thing to do. I will fight them. I will fight them. And I quote, he said, I don't know if I will do the fighting, but someone will do the fighting, but this will never happen. I will never give up my mic. I will kick them off my stage. And I think, you know, Bernie's a gentleman. Bernie understands.
Donald Trump doing that too. Can't you see him doing that? You know, look, I thought Bernie, the way he handled those two Black Lives Matter protesters, and there's some confusion because one of them was supposedly linked to Sarah Palin somehow. Yeah. He was so gracious and so gentle towards these women. I don't know if I would have handled it the way that he did. You know, that really talks a lot about his character. On the flip side, I know how much you love Trump. You are also, you crush on him too in a different way here. Trump, is it shocking that he would say that he would knock them off the stage or have someone do it?
I think for me what is shocking is that he's actually referring to Bernie Sanders and he's calling, you know, he's bringing him into the conversation. It's getting big enough that even Trump, that is the leading GOP, is acknowledging his presence, and I think that's very important, and it, you know, builds upon the polling and it builds upon the turnout to his events.
Do you think that there will end up being bad blood in between the two of them?
I don't think. I really think that Bernie is not even going to pay attention to Trump, and is the right thing to do. Now, there's very influential voices on the far left that have come out, like Noam Chomsky. He just came out saying, I love Bernie. You know, Bernie was one of the very first elected politicians that actually brought him into Vermont to speak about the U.S. intervention in Latin America back in the 80s. Noam Chomsky came out and said, I love Bernie. I think that it's great that he's running. No, it is not, but he actually said.
They both talk about class warfare. They both have these fantastic social policies. Is that really surprising that
No, what is surprising what he said is that he said that although he supports it, in an election system that is rigged and is bought by money, he doesn't stand a chance. And the fact that it's terrible, the fact that Noam Chomsky, so influential, will come out and say that, saying what is positive is that, you know, Bernie Sanders is becoming a thorn on the Clinton side and is pushing the whole democratic system to go farther to the left and maybe in the long run. But at the same time, I don't think Bernie believes that. I think Bernie really believes that he has a chance to get this nomination, and I think with him, hundreds of thousands of Americans.
If you don't go into this believing that you're going to be president of the United States, you are dead in the water. They all believe that.
Especially the 12 or 15 or 27 Republican candidates that are going for it.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, well, we want to know how you feel. Where do you stand about this situation? Please share your comments and subscribe to the Leap TV 2.